This is Rachel Hill for the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa web series. And in this series, we're going to bring to you some of the most fantastic people in Cleveland who are changing lives, making impacts. One of the things that we also discuss with them is what does Black history and culture mean to them? Because that's very important. If we don't know where we came from, we don't know where we're going. And we also talk to them about what do they love about the garden as well. So these are wonderful conversations that we think you should sit down and watch, and you can learn and grow and be inspired, because a garden belongs to all of us and it is so important. But also you need to know about what people in the community are doing to better the community, because we all know that we have better days ahead. Please make sure you stay tuned for all of the episodes in the web series of the Sankofa web series, brought to you by the African American Cultural Gardens.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Is won.
This is Rachel Hill for the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa web series. And today we have a very special guest. We have Basheer Jones, who is a Ward 7 councilman in the city of Cleveland. And so happy to have you here, Basheer. You're a legend in your own right. But I would like for you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. I'm so excited to be here. And the African American Cultural Gardens is a very important place for me. Growing up in the city of Cleveland and traveling through the cultural gardens, it was always very important to me to see the gardens that represented me um, look amazing and be amazing. So I can remember the different times they'll have festivals and stuff, and I would go out there and spend time and just learn more about my culture of being a Black man in this country. You know, I've been councilman in Ward 7 for the past 4 years, and one of the goals that I wanted to accomplish as a councilman, even though the cultural gardens is outside of my ward, I wanted to be a big support of the cultural gardens. I graduated from Morehouse College. My degree was African American Studies. Getting my master's this spring in theology. This beautiful, beautiful opportunity that we have to plant something, right? Not just the flowers or the seeds for the garden, but our lives symbolize gardens, and we are all farmers, and we must be careful what we plant. So I'm honestly, I'm so honored to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Now, we hear the accent in your voice a little bit. So, you are a native New Yorker, and then you came to Cleveland. So, what was it that what was it that caused the move, and what is it about Cleveland that you love?
Mm. Well, poverty is what caused it. You know, I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Um, so I would say New York is a mother, and Cleveland has been my foster mother. You know, and it is the womb that raised me. It is the womb that raised me, Cleveland. And what I love about Cleveland is Cleveland is it just is what it is, man. If we like you, we like you. We don't like you, we don't like you. You know what I mean? Like, we are loyal, very loyal people. You know, we are um, very serious about the things that we love, and um, with our proximity to the lake, with world class healthcare institutions and educational institutions, with the ability to experience all four seasons in one day.
We can leave out one. No, we can leave out one.
You know what I mean? Like, Cleveland is my heart, man. Cleveland is my heart, and I love it so much. So poverty is what brought us here. When we moved here from New York, we didn't have anything. We actually lived in the Salvation Army, you know, which is a shelter for women and children. And Cleveland made me who I am, and I'm honored to serve it.
Yeah, and your story is absolutely inspirational. It shows you that no matter your circumstances, when you focus on the right things, you can lift yourself up and be an asset to your community because you're a council person. So, can you tell for the audience who are not familiar with city council and stuff like that, what do you do, and what is your ward and stuff?
Right. So, okay, listen. I want you to visualize Cleveland as a pizza. I love pizza.
Me too.
Visualize it as a whole pizza,
Extra cheese.
right? And each
Extra cheese.
and each extra cheese and pineapples, by the way.
No, pineapples don't go on pizza. No.
What? I love pineapples on pizza, but so cut the pizza. Cut. Rachel, you're so funny. Cut the pizza up in 17 slices, and that represents the different wards of the city. So my ward is the seventh ward, and that consists of the Huff neighborhood. It consists of Superior, St. Clair Superior. It consists of parts of 55th. It consists of Huff, all of Huff. It consists of Payne Avenue, Asia Town. We have the most diverse community in the city. It consists of Chester Avenue from about 30th to 105. Um, it's a beautiful neighborhood, and a very historical neighborhood. Of course, many people can remember, some call it the Huff Riots. We call it the Huff Rebellion. You know, um, you know, Mayor Stokes being the first Black mayor of a major city. Um, Not only that, but he became a mayor in a time when the majority of the population was white. So, and he had serious connection to the Huff neighborhood, activists like Harlell Jones and others from the Afro set. So Huff very has a serious history in the city of Cleveland, home of League Park, which is one of the oldest baseball parks in the country. One of the oldest buildings in the entire city is in the Huff neighborhood, the Dunham Tavern off of Euclid, between Euclid and Chester. We're getting ready to have the Cleveland Foundation move into our neighborhood. We have the Cleveland Clinic in our neighborhood, University Hospital in our neighborhood, Case Western Reserve in our neighborhood. But yet and still, we are still suffering some serious issues around health issues, around educational, and around the fact that we have many food deserts. So we have a lot of different struggles, but we also have a lot of potential. And Ward 7 is just a beautiful place. And Cleveland is a beautiful place. And it needs serious leadership to be very serious about bringing change. And you got to have courage. You have to have courage to be able to call the issues You know, that many of them come from structural racism, straight up. And it doesn't make sense that black women go to hospitals and continue to get misdiagnosed and go to the hospital, and they were told they just had a headache, but end up dying from a brain aneurysm. The cultural incompetence in some of our health institutions and our educational institutions and our political institutions, so forth and so on. So for me, leadership is more than just words. It's about action. And that's what we're doing in Ward 7. It's about action. And anybody will tell you, if they're being truthful, that I'm about action.
Absolutely. So, what are some of your thoughts about what's going on in this world today, as of right now, government, the culture, how that all intertwines?
Well, Rachel, for black people ain't nothing new. For black people, when we saw the insurrection at the Capitol, that ain't nothing new. That if anything, that just reminded us. That reminded us of the insurrection that took place in Black Wall Street when they bombed our community in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It just reminded us of slavery. It reminded us of all the times that you know these certain people have engaged in violent behavior, and not only that, but get away with it. So I think this time is going to be a little bit different. But my point is that for black people in this country, that wasn't new. We've been telling you about this type of energy because we've seen it in classrooms. We've seen it when we go try to get a loan at the bank. We've seen it in hospital offices. We've seen it when we get stopped by the police. Right? We've seen this energy, and you know what? And this ain't gonna be a surprise for us either. That many of the people who were there at the Capitol were off-duty police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were teachers. Some of them were bank tellers. Some of them were CEOs. Some of them were business owners. These weren't a bunch of people coming from the mountains of West Virginia. No, they came from Cleveland. They came from DC. They came from positions of power. You see, the thing when it comes to racism is not just hating somebody for their color, but being in a position of power where you can express your bias and your racism, whether that comes in the form of not giving somebody a bank loan or a secure credit card for that matter. Not, what messages are you teaching black children in your classrooms, right? How are you as an elected official, because they found elected officials there too. How are you drawing the lines when it comes to black neighborhoods?
Mm-hmm.
And so racism, that's why black people can't be racist. We don't have the power to be racist. We don't have the power. We can discriminate for sure, but we don't have the power to implement racism.
Absolutely. So, Basheer, you talked a little bit earlier in our conversation about the garden, but what does the garden mean to you, and what do you want it to mean to your children?
This African American cultural garden, ever since I got into office, President Ewing would tell you, I've been working with him ever since I got into office to be of assistance. When other council people who could have supported didn't, I was the one pushing. And if people are truthful, they will tell you that. And the reason why is because I love to see the cultural gardens, by the way. I mean, that is something that you don't see in other cities at all. So I love traveling, and I see Turkey, and now we got Ethiopia. I see, I see Italy and France and Israel. I see all these beautiful countries. But then years ago, I would see the African American cultural gardens, and I'm like, yo, what are we doing? Like, why this is our, first of all, we the majority in this city. Why is our gardens looking like this? So it was always in my heart as a child to want to see this garden flourish. And luckily you had people like Andrew Jackson and many other people who took notice, and now you have that beautiful structure that's up there. But I wanted to plant a seed in the garden, and I got some of my colleagues to do the same. I can't remember the amount of money. I think it's a little over 50,000. I believe that we brought to the table. But I want my children to see greatness when they see themselves. And what impact does it have subconsciously on our children that if they're driving or walking past the gardens, they see the African American cultural gardens and it looks a mess. So we have to understand that most messages that are sent may not be verbal, but messages that we send can also be unintentional or intentional for that matter. So very important to me, and I'm happy to support it.
And Basheer, one of the things that is highly important that we point out is that you went to an HBCU, and most of our culture know about HBCUs. And now they're definitely being highlighted because HBCU graduates have pretty much saved our country. So, can you talk a little bit about being a Morehouse man and what comes with all
Oh
that?
man, oh man, Morehouse man. I put that's the house right there. That's Morehouse. They know that, they know that symbol. But I'm a Morehouse man. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I've experienced the Black experience in all different ways, from experiencing the poverty of growing up in the neighborhood to traveling and going off to school and going off to college and traveling. Just came back from Egypt, a couple weeks back, and we have to tell the truth about our story, and that's what I love about HBCUs is that it's really focused on reminding you that your history did not begin at 1865. It didn't begin at 1492, but you are from the original people. Um, Anybody who's willing to tell the truth will tell you that Africa is the birthplace of civilization. So that's what HB. So HBCUs, no matter if it's Morehouse or Spelman, if it's Howard or North Carolina A&T, wherever you go, the message that HBCUs gives often is you got to go back to where you came from. You must go back to your neighborhood and make it better. It's not like you just come to school, get your degree. Now the true success is doing what Harriet Tubman did, not just making it to freedom, but coming back and making sure other people can experience it.
And Basheer, before we wrap up, I want you to tell a little bit about your legacy and what you think that is. And, like I mentioned earlier about your upbringing and what you brought yourself to today, and being a civil servant in this time in this city when it's so important and there is guidance and leadership needed, and not corporate interest but interest in the people that reside there, because a better Cleveland makes a better Ohio, makes a better Cuyahoga County, makes a better state, makes a better world. So what would you like to be your hallmarks?
As you talked about it, my eyes just start watering because I've been thinking
Really?
about this I've been thinking about this for the past couple weeks. Um, you know, Sometimes I can be very hard on myself. Um, my mom, my mom, passed away from breast cancer 11 years back, and my best friend, and I miss her tremendously, man. And one of the things that she left behind, besides just me and my siblings, is a spirit of service and giving back. And if I had a choice of what my legacy, I have a play that I love. I don't know if you watched Hamilton, but it's the
I have
best
not.
play. You haven't?
No.
Oh my!
I
It,
know. I still
it,
ain't seen Do the Right Thing yet, so
oh my! Well, I'm getting off this right now. I'm clicking off this right
don't leave the meeting. Don't leave the meeting. We almost done.
now. But like Hamilton, within the play, it's just really talking about legacy, and you can't really decide who tells your story. You can't decide it. So if I had a choice of what I would like my legacy to be, what I would love for people to remember, is I would want them to remember my love. That I had an intense love. I have an intense love for Black people. and I have an even more intense love for humanity, and that I want to see people do well. And if people remember me for that, then that would be sufficient. And for me, the reason why this garden is so important to me is because we all have to plant seeds. You can't plant apple seeds and expect mangoes. Whatever you plant today is what you're going to get tomorrow. So sometimes I plant not so good seeds, and I just hope that God never let those seeds flourish. And then there's some seeds that I plant that I hope God makes flourish to the end of time. But I am experiencing the human experience. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, I am not a physical being going through the spiritual experience. I'm a spiritual being going through the human experience. And we have to remember that we are spiritual beings, and that this thing that we have, it gets old, it gets gray, it gets wrinkled. Not you. You're gonna be like that for the rest of your life.
I'm trying.
You're gonna be 150 years old.
Thank you.
But people like me, we get old, but the spirit never gets old. The spirit, it's forever because it is of God. That's what I believe. So I pray that when people see me, they see me as a spiritual being who has the human experience, and some decisions I made were good and some were not so good, but they're my experience. And I hope my children will be proud. I hope my grandchildren will be proud. I hope that. I hope that all the children that come from my legacy be proud that I was their father and grandfather and great grandfather. And I pray that God is pleased. That's what I pray for. That's what I hope my legacy is.
Beautiful. Basheer, I want to thank you.
And I hope when I meet my mother again, when I meet her, I hope that she is happy at the life that I live.
She is now, and she's proud of you. She's proud of you. I'm proud of you as well. I thank you for your leadership and how you continue to help the community. I'm not part of your community, but I know what you do. I know about you, and what you're doing is so important to future generations and setting the stage. And you're nothing but a shining example and an inspiration to many. And just want to thank you so much for everything that you do and how important you are. And you are your ancestors' dream. So thank you so much for that. And also want to thank you for your time today as we wrap up our Sankofa series. And this is Rachel Hill for the African American Cultural Gardens Sankofa web series.
He led a peaceful protest to gain voting rights and led a march from Selma to Montgomery in 1965, which became known as Bloody Sunday, when he and several others were beaten. This courageous protest led to the passing of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Who is this? John Lewis.
Hello, I'm Carl Ewing, President of the Association of African American Cultural Gardens. Our mission is to educate regarding the African American experience and to complete the African Cultural Gardens. I'm inviting you to join the movement to help complete your garden. We are excited to be able to break ground for phase 2 of our building project this spring, but I need your help. Go to AAACG.org to place your tax-deductible donations, or send to P.O. Box 20237, Cleveland, Ohio 44120. And remember, sow a seed and watch us grow. Thank you.